Well, good morning, everybody. Shabbat Shalom and welcome. This is the first time that we have worshiped in our sanctuary with any configuration of people since the second Friday of March.
Wow.
So it's been 8 months.
Mazel Tov to us.
So it is, and everybody looks a little bit different because we all have masks on our face, as we should. And we are separated into our bubbles, as we should. But that is not going to stop us from this wonderful celebration with the Berger family on this Shabbat morning, Shabbat Bereshit. As we celebrate, we are becoming Bat Mitzvah. And you are going to have a story to tell for the rest of your life about being a Bat Mitzvah during a time of COVID. So I want to welcome everybody who's here with us in the sanctuary. I want to welcome everybody who's watching in their bubbles at home. And we are looking forward to having a lovely service together this morning. We're going to begin our service. If you have a Siddur with you, on page 192, page 192, our enter leading us in the singing of Mazel Now my pleasure to invite our Bat Mitzvah, Leah Berger, to come up to the bima, accompanied by her parents, Neil and Jennifer. Rucha haba'a b'shem Adonai. Leah, we welcome you here today on this Shabbat morning to celebrate your coming of age in our Jewish community and our Jewish tradition, and celebrate also all that you have studied and prepared and learned as part of your becoming a young Jewish adult. It is a real pleasure to be here and be with your family to celebrate, particularly under these circumstances. In just a moment, your mom and dad are going to wrap you in your talit. And when that happens, when they put it around your shoulders, I want you to take a moment and just sort of appreciate where you are and what's happening. And because when they wrap you in this first shawl, the talit, they are really wrapping you in 4,000 years of Jewish tradition. And we know, though, that it is not necessarily the shawl part, but the fringes on the corner, what most important, they represent, with all of these little knots and twists and turns, the 613 mitzvot, which will define our tradition. And the important thing to always remember is that, when we're here in the sanctuary, which is such a rare occurrence nowadays, but when we're here, it's easy to be a Jew because we are wrapped and enshrined in Judaism and Jewish tradition. And even though you take off your talit when you go out into the street, you always have to imagine that it's sort of symbolically coming with you, because the tradition doesn't end at the door of the synagogue. It goes out and should help you find meaning in every experience you have in your day-to-day life. So again, I want to welcome you, and I want to congratulate you, and I want to ask your mom and dad to read some words to you.
Into our hands, O God, you have placed your Torah to be held high by parents and children and taught by one generation to the next. Whatever has befallen us, our people have remained steadfast in loyalty to the Torah. It was carried in the arms of parents that your children might not be deprived of their birthright. And now we pray that through you, Leah, may always be worthy of its inheritance. Take its teaching into your heart, and in turn pass it on to your children and those who come after you. May you be a faithful Jew, searching for wisdom and truth, looking for justice and peace. May the one who has always been our guide inspire you to bring honor to our family and to the house of Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Shem Yud, Hazashul, Yud, Rekol, Leteh, La Torah.
Amen. So if you can now just wrap it around your daughter's shoulders.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו Bat Mitzvah.
Amen. And let's mark this special moment of this freshness and firstness with the singing of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והחיינו לעולם הזה.
We continue on page 194, page 194.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher yasar et ha'adam ha'chokmah. V'yoreh lo mikablim kolalim kolalim. V'aluri v'yadura lifnei kisei kavodecha. She'im mikatei echad mehem. O yesetem echad mehem. Ish shafar v'hi'itekeim. V'la'amod lifnecha. Baruch atah Adonai v'le'kol sa'or
ומקריב לחסדו. Elohai, Elohai, neshama. שנתת לי לכורני. אתה בראת, אתה יצאת, אתה לקחת בי. ואתה משמרה ותהי. Elohai, Elohai, neshama. שנתת לי לכורני. ברוך אתה אדוני אשר ידו נפש כל חי ורוח כל בשר איש.
We continue with the Bercher Shachar, the morning blessings on page 198. 198.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan Mina Harvey Bayom Ubelayla.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Okei HaBriyim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Matir Asurim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Zokef tefufim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Rokei ha'aretz al hamayim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Amen. Tzaddik Amen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Malbish Arumim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Anoten le'ya'ef koach.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Ha'ma'avir shena me'inai utuma me'afrecha.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. She'asani b'tselem Elohim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. She'asani b'kurim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. She'asani Yisrael.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Ozer Yisrael b'gvura.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Osher Yisrael v'tifara. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu. La'asot b'divrei Torah, la'asot b'divrei Torah. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue.
O Adonai, our God, let the words of Torah be sweet in our mouths and the mouths of your people Israel, so that we, our descendants and the descendants of all your people Israel, may know you by studying your Torah for its own sake. Blessed are you, Adonai, who teaches Torah to your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'eh Torah Mo Yisrael. Elu Devarim She'en Lahem She'er, She'adam Ohel Piratehem, Ba'olam Hazeh, B'hakeren Ke'met Lo Elam Haba, Elu Ning. These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are Kibud of Ba'im,
Honoring one's father and mother,
Uvulut Hasadim,
engaging in deeds of compassion,
V'hashmakat Et Hamadash Shech Harash
like the divine for knowledge.
Haralit,
Around early for study, morning and evening,
V'hashmasat Orshim,
dealing graciously with
guests.
Bikor Holim,
visiting the sick,
Vahashmasa Hala,
providing for the wedding couple,
Uvaya Hamay,
accompanying the dead for burial,
Liu Tefila,
being devoted in prayer,
Shalom Beit Avadam, Avera,
and making peace among people.
Vatal Lu Torah Keneged Kulam.
But the story of Torah encompasses them all.
Please turn to page 215 and join me in chanting the Asher.
Ashrei ha'am shekachamo, Ashrei ha'am shagmayo. Bechol yom ha'chata, la'ashim ha'lelam ha'ed. Dor ledor Shabbat ma'asata, u'vorotecha yagidu.
Why were we so late getting in?
Be'ezuz morotecha yomeru, u'dulata asaprema.
I can see it fine.
Hanu berachum Adonai, Eretz ha'payim v'da'at ha'sed. Yodu Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'hasidecha yevarucha. Lehodia lifnei ha'adam gevurotav, uvod hadar malchuto. Sofech Adonai lechol ha'noflim, וזוקף לכל הכפופים. פותח את ידיך, ומשביע לכל חי רצון.
Sadiq Adonai b'chol darachav, v'hasadik b'chol ma'asah.
קרוב אדוני לכל תורה, לכל אשר יקראו באמת.
Ritzon yirav ya'asa, v'at shavatam nishma v'yoshiyam.
שומר אדוני לכל העם, לכל רשעים ישמיני.
Tahit Adonai yodber pi, v'yiveh kol ba'asar shem kodsho le'olam v'ed.
ואנחנו נברך יום, מעתה ועד עולם. Hallelujah.
If you're able, we invite you to please rise as we continue with Bat Mitzvah. We're going to continue now on page 228, page 228.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Yotzer or uvarei choshet, oseh shalom uvarei et hakol. Me'ir la'aretz v'ledarim aleha v'ledarim. U'tuvo mechadish b'chol yom tovim ma'aseh v'reshit. Ma'arabu ma'asecha Adonai kulam b'chokhmah asita. Ma'hala ha'aretz kiminaha. Tipara Adonai Eloheinu al Shabbat ma'aseh yehadeha. Ba'al Morei or she'asita. Yifruha Sela or Hadash al Tzitson Ta'ir Yitzchak Kulanu Meharei Le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai How deeply you have loved us, Adonai, our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. On account for our forbearers who trust allowed you to teach them the laws of life, be gracious to us, teaching us well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand, discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. Enlighten our eyes with your Torah. Focus our minds on your mitzvah. Unite our hearts in love and reverence for your name. Then we will never forget, we will never feel shame, never deserve rebuke, and never stumble. Having trusted in your great and awesome holiness, we shall celebrate your salvation with joy. Gather us in peace from the four corners of the earth and lead us upright to our land. For you, O God, work wonders. You choose us, truly. You drew us near your great name, that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. Praise be you, Adonai, who chooses your people Israel in love. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Please be seated. Please turn to pages 238 and 239. And Max, there is no place where you are not. Even in the wilderness, there is your word. And Max, the pine strokes of lightning, white fire, black flame, stir the soul's passion, guide our sacred way. True and enduring is Torah. Your truth for us is certain and established, now and forevermore. Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and rejoice.
Page 242, 242. If you're able, please rise for the tefillah.
Adonai, sepatagita, ufia, gitatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elokei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, Elokei Sarah, Elokei Rivka, Elokei Rachel, Elokei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Ve'anora, El Hanom, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Vezokeh Pastei Avot Ve'imavot, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שובו ויחפה. מלך עושה מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב וחופשי. Mashivaru Mori Hakashem, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Tomech Noflim Veropech Olim, Omatir Asurim, Omechayei Merunato, Lishenei Afari, Chamocha, Mahal Geburot, Omidamela, Melech Menih Mefarayeh, Omatzmiach Yeshua, Ve'ne'eman Nefel V'chayot Hamor, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei מקדש שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשלמנו, ככתוב על יד נביאיך, וקרא זה אל זה באברהם. קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוני אדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד
seated.
We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope. For Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living. For Shabbat memories, glowing even in the darkness. For Shabbat peace, born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Baruch atah Adonai, Makadosh Hashabbat. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and in our prayer. Wherever we live, we seek you. In this land, in Zion restored, and all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, we acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hands, for our souls which you lead, which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one, whose mercies never end, O compassionate one, whose kindness never fails. We forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov
Sing, 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 shalom, sing, 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 shalom, sing, 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 shalom, tova uberachah. Ein v'chesed rachmani, ein v'chesed rachmani, Aleinu ve'yavur Yisrael Amecha. Sing, 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 shalom, sing, 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 shalom, sing,
moment for silent prayer.
Oh, say shalom oh, yeah, say shalom aleinu. Ve'al Yisrael, amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Ve'al Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Ve'al Yisrael, ve'imru.
Seder Kriyat Torah, the service for the reading of the Torah, commences on page 362, page 362. At this time, I would like to invite Natasha and Sam Corman to come up and open the ark. If you are able, we invite everybody else to please rise.
Yekalu et Shem Adonai, Tinizal Shalom Adon. Thank him all Elohim Adonai, thank him all Masrecha. Malchut Lecha, Malchut Kol Olamim, Lo Memshot Lecha Bechol Dor V'Ador. Adonai Melech, Adonai Melech, Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Va'ed. Adonai Ozeamo Yitain, Adonai Yivarech Kamo V'Shalom. Ahad Rachamim, Etiva Tzoncha, Etzivon. Tifnei Chavod Yerushalayim, Ki Bechelekat Batavro, Melech Elam Vanisa, Adon Olamim. Inizion Tetzei Torah, Inizion Tetzei Torah, Odevar Adonai, Birushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, V'Kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Shemo.
Great morning. This is a really special moment in what has otherwise been a really special moment because Leah, right now you are going to receive a great gift, an inheritance, something that has been so precious to the Jewish people for thousands and thousands of years. And each generation comes to embrace Torah as its own. But then, like anything that we love, we know there's a certain point where we're going to have to share it with others, because that's what you do with something you love. And so this is the moment where Torah is going to be passed down through the generations. And in a great book called Berger Family, sayings of our sages, it begins by saying that Moses received Torah from God, passed it down to Moses passed it down to Joshua, who came after him. Joshua passed it down to the great sages that came down to him, generation to 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 generations that came before your mom and dad, the generation of your mom and dad, who both chose in their time to receive Torah. And now they are going to pass it on to you. And in that same book, Berger Family, there is another saying by a rabbi whose name is Ben Bagbag. That's really his name. Ben Bagbag said, "Turn it over and turn it over, because everything is contained in it." And that's, he was talking about the Torah. We study it throughout our lives, because every time we open it up, every time we look at a different page, there's always something remarkable there for us to learn. And the day will come when it's going to be your turn to pass it on to the next generation. But don't worry about that right now. You got some time for that. Right now, it's just yours to receive and to cherish it as we have for us. Oh, and by the way, I should say that this sacred Torah, this Torah scroll, which I have caught up in, just as the Jewish people have journeyed throughout the generations, this Torah scroll has also had quite its own story and quite its own journey. The Torah, the Torah, which has been passed down from different communities until it found its home here in our congregation, which is also the home of the Berger family, who we cherish as much as we cherish Torah. And so, you know what, if you haven't already, I would pull Doreen aside and ask her to tell you the story of this special scroll. But just know that with this special scroll for you today comes an extra wonderful measure of love. You're just going to take it over. Okay, please be seated. Sheila, thank you so much. So we are back at the beginning. Last week we celebrated Simchat Torah. We read the end of the book of Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy, and without missing a beat, the cycle continues, and we went right back to the beginning of the book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis. We concluded the Torah with a death, the death of Moses, but immediately we read the story of birth, of creation, from the end to the beginning, from death to birth, and we continue on again. And there's also something that's a little bit, sometimes feels a little bit jarring in the fact that it's a very different kind of literature, what we read in Deuteronomy, because when we enter back into Parshat Bereshit, at the beginning of the book of Genesis, we're back to all of these wonderful narrative tales, these stories that describe our origins, both as human beings and within the people of Israel. And even just in this first parasha, we go through 10 generations from the birth of Adam and Eve all the way down to next week when we're going to read about Noah and his family in the great flood. So we cover a lot of development in this very short parasha. And I'm just going to encourage you to do one thing, which is, these are the stories that we all think we know. The stories that even if you spent 5 minutes at a Sunday school or a religious school or a Hebrew school, whether it was in a synagogue or a church or just out there in the world, we all sort of absorb these stories about Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel and Noah and all that sort of stuff. But I want to suggest to you that these are not fairy tales. These are not kid stories. These are, in fact, very highly developed, personality-driven narratives that teach us so much about the human condition and about ourselves, even in the world that we live in today. And in fact, the world that we're living in precisely right now could probably use a whole lot of the wisdom that these stories have to share with us. So let's bring our mature, sophisticated minds to these wonderful myths that tell us who we are, but also encourage us to be the best version of ourselves that we could possibly be. And I love it when we have a bar bat mitzvah and Shabbat Bereshit, because it's so easy to announce the page number. If you have a chumash, or if you'd like one, you can find it on page 1. Just before Leah shares with us this week's Torah portion, we want to share something else. Let you take that in. Every time one of our young men or women become bar bat mitzvah, we always ask them to create a wimple that is used to bind the Torah together on the Shabbat of their bar bat mitzvah. And this is the one that Leah created with the support of her family. Leah, maybe you can just tell us really quickly 1 or 2 things about some of the symbols, the pictures that you've included.
There's a point shoe because I've been dancing since I was 3 and I like dancing. There's doves because it represents peace. It is really great. There's a Supergirl kind of symbol because I like Supergirl and the superheroes. There's a Black Widow hourglass because that's like Black Widow.
And there's a paw print.
Yeah, there's a paw print because I am a dog.
Very cute. All right. Na la'amod. B'barechet HaTorah, Naomi Bat Shmuel Yosef. We call to the first Aliyah on this Shabbat morning, Miss Natasha Corman.
Amor, Naomi Bat Shmuel Yosef, Berger Torah.
Show Natasha where you're going to start.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Vaed. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'charvanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Ela Soto Kashamayim Baha'aret Abraham Be'om Asot Adonai Elohim Eretz B'Shamayim B'Kol Tia Hasadeh Tera Yehiyecha Ba'aretz B'Kol Hasadeh Tera Mitzvah Ki Elohim Tia Adonai Elohim Ha'aretz Adam Hayim B'Kol Et Ha'adamah Ha'alei Ha'aretz V'Yishka Et Kol B'nei Ha'adamah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam natan b'tovenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Mishavera Chavitera Chavitzafi Yaakov V'Matena Sarav V'Perachavlea. V'Yavarechad Naomi Bat Shmuel Yosef V'Kol Mishpachat Korman. Avor Shalal V'Chod HaMakom V'Chod HaTorah V'Chod HaShabbat. May the Holy One of Blessing, who has blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless Natasha Korman and all of the Korman family, who's been called to the Torah on this Shabbat in honor of the Holy One, in honor of the Torah, in honor of this Shabbat morning, but particularly in honor of Leah becoming Bat Mitzvah. Natasha, I hope you can feel how important it is that you've been called to the Torah from this Torah and from this young lady who is following in your footsteps of just a less than a year in becoming Bat Mitzvah in our community, because this is for both of you, your Jewish home. We ask that God bless you, Natasha, and all of your dear ones with an abundance of health, of happiness, of prosperity, and peace for no more. And we say together.
Amen.
Just go over to the other side. Na la'amo b'varechet ha'torah Nachum Lev ben Yehuda HaKohen Dina v'Yafa bat Avraham v'Sarah. We call to the next aliyah the parents of the Bat Mitzvah, Jennifer and Neil Berger.
Na'amo Nachum Lev ben Yehuda HaKohen Dina v'Yafa bat Avraham v'Sarah levarechet ha'torah.
Baruch Adonai HaMorah.
Baruch Adonai HaMorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMorah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'charvanu mikol ha'amim v'natan Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayitzer Adonai Elohim Yaakov Et Ha'adam Vaika Afa Miha Miha Adama Vaika Apa Mishma Kanim Vaiki Adam Nefesh Haya Aliyota Adonai
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet le'hayei olam atah v'teinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Na'am Lord Berekah the Torah le Yudit Patach Lev HaKohen the Gat the Yafa Bat Mitzvah.
Nala amod, leikudit panapam lekatuven yafa, Bat Mitzvah levareket haTorah. Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Habarah Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amin v'tom lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
V'nahar Yotzei me'eden v'hashkol et hagan v'nisham yiparei v'haya v'arba'a v'shni shem echad pishon hu hasarei bo'eretz ha'amilah asher sham hazahar Yizahar ha'aretz ha'ito shem ha'dola ve'evan ha'shoham v'shem ha'nahar ha'sheni v'ho hu ha'savei bo'eretz kush v'shem ha'nahar ha'sheni v'shem ha'nahar ha'sheni Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'haya olam natan v'tokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Yeshakah Mazel Tov. Mom and Dad, you can return to your seats. And at this time, I would like to invite Mr. Joe Corman as our Hagba to raise the Torah. And I'd like to invite back to the Bima, Shayla Berger, to help dress the Torah scroll. We ask everybody to please rise. Oh, yeah. So if you got that, but stop it first again.
Bezot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe Lifnei Bnei Yisrael Avi Adonai Eyad Moshe. You're no kidding, eh?
Please be seated. We're going to continue on page 376, page 376, and I would like to invite Doreen Corman to lead us in the prayer for our congregation. Yep, I'm going to move.
For our congregation, source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us: love of Torah, devotion and prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy. Baruch atah Adonai, shetachah levad, v'leid nevad.
Amen. Shalom. Continue with our special prayers. We invite Leanne and Robert Dorson to lead us in the Aboriginal acknowledgement and the prayer for our country.
Financial Shalom recognizes and acknowledges that it is located on the traditional territories of the Mississauga and Haudenosaunee nations, and within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. May we live with respect on this land and in peace and friendship with people.
Thus says the Donald. This is what I desire, to unlock the letters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness. To let the aggressed go free, no break off every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish a yoke from your midst, a menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness.
O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of our earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideas. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit.
Amen. Thank you so much. We continue on page 377. We invite Izzy Berger to come forward to lead us in the prayer for Israel.
To the state of Israel, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Izzy. Shalom. And finally, we conclude with a special prayer for peace, and we invite Jean Dorson to lead us.
May we see the day when war and bloodshed cease, when a great peace will embrace the whole world. Then nation will not threaten nation, and we will never again know war. For all who live on earth shall realize that we have not come into being to hate or to destroy. We have come into being to praise, to labor, and to love. Compassionate God, bless the leaders of all nations with power of compassion. Fulfill the promise conveyed in the scripture. I will bring peace to the land, and you shall lie down, and none shall be afraid. I will rid the land of vicious beasts, and it shall not be ravaged by war. Let love and justice flow like a mighty stream. Let peace fill the earth, as waters fill the sea. And let us say,
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to return now to page 374, page 374. I invite Paula Corman to join Joe Corman on the bima. We ask everybody to please rise. For I've given you good instruction, do not abandon my Torah. There's a tree of life for those who hold fast to it, and all its supporters are happy. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Please be seated. I think this is going well. Something nice and intimate and very close about all of this. Well, at this point in every Bat Mitzvah service that I've ever done for 14 years here at the temple and for 20 years before that, at this point in the service, I always like to say the same thing, which is this. In our Jewish tradition, we hold study and learning as one of our most supreme values. And yet, in our legalistic tradition, you'd be surprised to know that we're never actually commanded to study. We are, however, commanded to teach. And therefore, when each of our young men and women become Bar Bat Mitzvah, the very first thing we ask them to do is to become our teachers and to share with us what they've learned about their Torah portion, and to teach us what their understanding of these words. So at this point, it is my profound pleasure to invite Leah Berger to share with us her Devar Torah. You're ready.
This morning I read from Bereshit, the very first portion in the Torah. Bereshit is about the creation of the universe and the first generation of humankind. In the beginning, God formed the entire universe, including the earth. On the first day of creation, God created light and darkness and named them day and night. On the second day, God created heaven and separated it from earth. On the third day, God created the seas and ocean and separated them from land. On the fourth day, God brought vegetation to the earth, along with plants and trees that would become food. On the fifth day, God created fish, birds, and reptiles. On the sixth day, God created animals, including humans. God created a human being in God's image. The human being was made out of dust and soil from the Garden of Eden. Finally, on the seventh day, God stopped creating and rested. This was the first Sabbath. At first, the human was created as a single being that had characteristics of both male and female. But this united human became lonely. God wanted a partner for this human, but none of the other creatures were appropriate mates. So God put the human to sleep and took a rib from the human side and used it to create a woman. What remained was left as a man. Now there is Ish and Isha, a male and a female, who were named Adam and Eve. God had created a paradise called the Garden of Eden, which included the tree of knowledge of good and evil. God told Adam and Eve that they could eat from any plant in the garden, but they were forbidden from eating from the tree of knowledge. Eve, however, disobeyed God and ate from the tree of knowledge. God convinced Adam to eat from the tree of knowledge. God was furious that they had disobeyed this single commandment. So God then cursed Adam and Eve. Before they ate from the tree of knowledge, everything was provided with them without any effort. But now they were forced to labor for everything they received. Once Adam and Eve made up for those things, God gifted Eve with the ability to have a child. Adam and Eve gave birth to two sons, Cain and Abel. Abel was a shepherd and Cain was a farmer. Cain and Abel were asked by God to bring a sacrificial offering from the best of what they had. God accepted Abel's offering but denied Cain's offering. Cain didn't listen to God and did not bring the actual best of what he had. Cain was so mad that his offer got denied, so then he killed his brother. God was not happy about Cain killing his brother, so God punished Cain by banishing him from the Garden of Eden. That left Cain to roam around the earth alone. While on his journey, Cain met his mate, who later gave birth to their son, Enoch. Cain built a city for his family to live in. After Enoch, many more generations were born. Later, Adam and Eve also gave birth to another son named Seth. This is what I learned from my Torah portion. My favorite lesson from Bereshit is the fact that we always have a chance for a new beginning. I can understand this idea because I have experienced new beginnings before. For example, this pandemic has created all kinds of new beginnings for everyone. When I switched to online school, it was a huge step for me. It was also a chance for a new beginning. At first, I didn't want to switch to online school, but under these circumstances, it was what was best for me, so I did it. Are new beginnings always worth it? Not always, but new beginnings usually result in something very positive. But sometimes you have to give up the things that are really important to you to do what is needed, and sometimes new beginnings are needed. Part of what a new beginning is opportunity to try new things and move on from the past. Before creation, there was nothing until God created the universe. Isaac Newton discovered gravity, which is an apple. You could change your life if you just take advantage of a new opportunity that is given to you. That is your chance to try again with a whole new slate. Thank you to everyone joining me on this special day, despite the odd circumstances. Thank you to Rabbi Cohen, Dora, and Temple Anti Shalom for helping me with this day. A special thank you to my family for being so supportive and to my cancer, Oliver, for guiding me to this point. I couldn't have done it without any of you. Enjoy the rest of the service, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Just remain right there. Leah, again, I just want to wish you Mazel Tov. You've done such an extraordinary job this morning, and I just think we're all getting so much pleasure out of seeing the young woman you've turned into and how well and confidently you conducted yourself this morning. And you really picked a date, a parashah, a Torah portion that had so much in it. Sometimes later in the year, especially when we get to the book of Leviticus, a lot of Bar Mitzvah students go, have a hard time finding something they want to talk about. But in this one, there was just so much that narrowing it down became the challenge. And this idea of new beginnings, I think, really speaks to us at this time. I think most of us realize that the world's never going to be the same as it was 9 months ago. And that's a whole new beginning that we're all going to have to learn to adjust to. And God willing, some really positive things should come out of it. I wanted to comment on one little thing that you mentioned when you were recounting the things that happen on the different days of creation. And you talked about how at the end of the 6 days, God rested and observed, celebrated the first Shabbat, the first Sabbath. And there's something really interesting if you look closely at the Hebrew, because it never says there that God completed the work of creation. It says that God ceased from creating. And that's the root of the word. They don't actually use the word Shabbat, but the word to cease is lishbot. It's got the same root. So Shabbat day is a day of ceasing. And in the commentaries, when our ancient rabbis were thinking about this text, one of them asked the question, well, if God ceased after the 6th day, when was creation completed? And the answer is that it isn't. And that we, meaning human beings, work together as partners with God in helping to bring the world to its ultimate completion. And it's only then that we will have peace in the world. And I really like that idea because it obligates us to do the best we can to help bring that world closer one step at a time to completion. And I think when we look at the world around us today, we know that sometimes we may be even farther away from that ultimate completion. And the other point is that when we talk about making the word whole or complete, the Hebrew word is shalem, just shalom. We can only ever have peace when we work together as human beings to bring the world to that point. So again, I want to wish you a Mazel Tov. You should go up. Congratulations on a great job that's done. I hope that you find your peace within all the work that you've done. And at this point, I would like to invite your mom and your dad to come forward and share some personal words with you.
When you think of moments in your life, the tendency is to think of the big ones. When you're single, you think of birthdays, vacations, maybe sporting events or concerts. When you get married, you think of your wedding, anniversaries, or buying your house. When you have children, your memories immediately shift to them. When they were born, the first time they walked, or said, "Daddy." I'm fascinated when moments in life take place in the same venue, separated only by time. 13 years ago, we had Leah's baby naming right here on this bima. I was incredibly moved when Rabbi Cohen asked God to bless Leah. Jennifer and I had our hopes and dreams of our newborn Leah that day, and God has blessed us. Leah, you are a beautiful person inside and out. You have your mother's heart, and unfortunately, your daddy's thumbs. You are kind to strangers and always caring for those less fortunate than you are. Every time we have passed a homeless person, regardless of which city we are in, you always reach out and give money, but more importantly, kind words and hope. You are a loving daughter and a great big sister to Shayla. I'm always touched when in times we are in new surroundings, you hold Shayla's hand to guide and protect her. As we stand here today on the same bima 13 years later on your Bat Mitzvah, I'm so proud of you, Leah. I love you with all my heart, and Mommy and I are blessed to have you as our daughter who will grow up to be the fine young woman you are today. I love you, Leah.
want to start by acknowledging those who are not here today. So Neil's parents, Julius and Diane. I know Bobby would have been really proud of you, Leah, and would definitely be here to stand beside you, and I'm sorry she's not. Grandpa, my dad, even though he was in declining health, he was really excited when he found out that I had Leah. Though he really couldn't say how he was feeling or thinking anymore, when he came to see me in the hospital, he brought you that big bunny, and I wish that he had a chance to get to know you and your sister, and actually Neil. And then the final person I wanted to say that we missed today is Serena. Serena and I were friends for a really long time, and I don't think we ever imagined when we were young that our lives would so end together, and we would be together and be our Jewish family. And I'm very thankful for that, and I really wish she was here today. I want to thank friends and family out there in Zoom land. This is a bit of a different way of doing things. So we have people on from Montreal and in the United States, Nova Scotia, and I think my cousin's all in Scotland. And there's all sorts of people joining us from across Ontario. So it's not how we planned it, but we're really grateful that at least we can be together virtually. Leah, I prayed for you. I always wanted to be a mother, and when I had you, that feeling was amazing, and it still is. Now I know you're a little bit worried about what I'm going to say. I'll be gentle. So I want to tell you some things. Leah, always believe in yourself. If you can do that, you can do anything. Never stop asking questions and learning. Your thirst of knowledge and what you do with that knowledge will take you far in this world. Always be kind to others. People may not remember what you said or what you did, but they're always going to remember how you made them feel. And never stop dancing, Leah. When you dance, I see the passion and beauty from within. Leah, you have very strong opinions and strong feelings, and you're not afraid to share them. Sometimes that can be a little intense. And there's been times where I've held my breath and I've said, oh, Leah, not now, let's not go there. But on the other hand, I stand back in amazement. You are your own young woman, and you have your own voice, and you take pride in what you do. A combination of fierce strength and determination with the perfect amount of girliness. Ballet seems to be the ideal metaphor. People are mesmerized by the grace and femininity of the ballerina. They lose sight of the huge amount of strength and hard work and tenacity it takes to be a ballet dancer. Leah, you're a strong dancer, and you're a strong person. And these past few months, I've seen you really dig down for some inner strength. Strength to do not just what you do for others, it's doing it for yourself. I always tell you I believe in you, and you often tell me back, Mommy, I know you always believe in me. It's because you have to, because you're mom. You're my mom, so you have to. I say that I believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And now that I'm starting to see you sometimes find that belief in yourself, it's amazing. And I'm going to watch you do that. I'm going to watch you blossom, and I'm going to watch you grow. And I'll stand by with much love and admiration. I'm proud of your accomplishments today, Leah. I know how hard you worked, and it was a bit of a journey to get here. But I'm proud of you, Leah. I'm even more proud of you for being you.
Leah is kind, loyal, sweet, and amazing sister. I can count on Leah for anything. If it's for helping me with the schoolwork or playing with me, I'm sure she'll make me laugh too. She really deserves all of you here at a party, but I know she'll be happy with anything as long as we're together, even though we're not in person. You really are amazing sister, Leah. I love you.
I don't know, we just stand in front of those chairs there. Shaberach Avotera V'Hamitzach Yaakov Imotenu Sarah Rivka Avalea Hu Yivarachet Mishpachat Berger. May the Holy One of Blessing who's blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Bless all the members of the Berger family who have been called up to this bima on this Shabbat morning, Shabbat Bereshit, in honor of the Holy One, in honor of the Torah, in honor of this beautiful Shabbat morning, but particularly in honor of Leah becoming Bat Mitzvah. May God instill in you a great sense of nachas, of nachat ruach, of satisfaction of soul and contentment. And may God bless you and all of your dear ones with an abundance of health, of happiness, of prosperity, and peace. And we say together, Amen.
Cinnamon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Cinnamon Tov, Cinnamon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Cinnamon Tov, Cinnamon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Cinnamon Tov,
Take your purple perfume. We are going to conclude our service now on page
586.
on page 586. Fellow Burgess Home. The middle of the page, and if you're able, we invite you to please rise.
ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני פניו מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שרוממת השמיים מייסד הארץ ומושבים קוראים השמיים ממחר ושכינת הזו ושכינת הזו וקוראים אל הרומאים בו אלוהינו אלוהים תמת מלכנו וחסודתו ויתרתו ותורתו ויתרתנו ויתרתנו וחשבותו אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ובארץ ובארץ מתחת אלוהים ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושרו
We think now of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at the season years past, and those whom we have drawn onto our hearts with our own. At this time, we remember Anne Shub, who passed away during the last month, during Shloshim, and to the Corman family, to the mourners. We say to you the traditional words of consolation. May God comfort you amongst all the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. We also remember those whose yahrzeit occurred during this past week. Abraham Dov Hirschler, Ella Wexler, Elliot Jacob Siegel, Elliot Joseph Siegel, Fanny Bloom, Mayor Goldfuss, Morris Sachs, Ruth Goldberg, Sadie Berman, Samuel Kuvriel, Sarah Gutkin, William John Elliott, Anna Minden, Arthur Vernon, Fanny Bloom, Marcella Zavarushka, Alfred Freelander, Hans Bukunski, Jonas Mendes da Costa, Judah Mendes da Costa, Gunter Lewis Ehrenfried, Samuel Stolman, Rebecca Taylor, Toba Greenberg, Belle Cohen, Leslie Levine, George Fuller, Leo Nagler, Masha Miriam Grossberg, and Harry Goldenberg. Zichronam Livracha, may the memories of the righteous be for all of us as an abiding blessing. As we remember them and we praise God with the words of the Kaddish, which can be found on page 598, page 598. Yit Gadal, Yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, Yomad Divrach Gerutei, Yamlich Malchutei, Chayachon, Yom Echon, Chaye, the whole Beit Yisrael, Agala, Tizman, Kariv, Yemru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach, Ve'olam, Omei, Almaya, Yit Barach, V'yishtabach, Yit Ma'ar, V'yitramam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shmei, Kudesha, Oreichu. Le'elah mikol berchata v'shirata, Jush b'chata v'nechamata, Damiran v'alma v'ibru. Amen. Yehei Shalom Rabba Mishmaya, V'chaim Aleinu v'yal Kol Yisrael v'ibru. Amen. Say Shalom b'Ramah Kuya. Say Shalom Aleinu v'yal Kol Yisrael v'ibru. Amen. With the source of peace, send peace to all those who mourn, and comfort to all those who are bereaved among us. We say together. Amen. Please be seated. Except for Leah. You come on back up here. But you can leave your stuff down there. Just a moment, we're going to conclude the service with Kiddush, but before that, I would like to invite Roy G. Pong, dear member, Temple Anshe Sholem, to make a presentation to our Bat Mitzvah on behalf of the congregation.
Leah, it's a great thrill for me to make this presentation on behalf of the temple for your great performance this morning. This is your Bat Mitzvah certificate for you to have. To come is a $100 Israeli bond, courtesy of Dr. Michael Taylor. I think the rabbis cashed it in and used it for something.
Excuse me. Slander.
Also, the Tanakh. I'm told this has a lifetime guarantee, so if you ever wear it out, just bring it back and we'll give you a new one. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Follington. Last time he ever makes a presentation. Well, I think the Cantor Republic has one more song she can lead us in. So wrap up our service.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei v'ri hagafen.
Man, L'chaim. I think you got to move your mouse. L'chaim, Mazel Tov. Shabbat shalom and mazel tov to everyone.
Great job you did.